A third process which occurs in soil formation is called ion exchange. Now, we have defined ions as basically being charged particles. These could either be positively charged particles, which are referred to as cations, or negatively charged particles, which are referred to as anions. Well, what does the term exchange mean? Well, exchange implies that we're getting something replaced by something else. And one of the processes which does occur in soil formation is this process of ion exchange. Elements that are a part of one type of mineral are broken out of that mineral, released as a free ion, but then picked up and reutilized in the formation of new minerals. So we're exchanging minerals between we're exchanging ions between one type of mineral and the next one that forms from it. So we get a displacement of some of the ions in the original mineral, and we get a reformation of secondary mineral structures that contain these ions that have been dissolved out of or removed somehow from the previous mineral formation. One of the things that normally occurs as the soil weathers and develops is we see a reduction in the basic soil cations, those being calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium primarily. We see a reduction in those in our mineral matter in the soil, and they're replaced by what are oftentimes referred to as the acidic soil cations, more specifically aluminum and or hydrogen. So that's part of the exchange process that takes place. As this exchange is occurring, a fourth soil forming factor is called translocation. Once you've removed something from a solid mineral matter type of material that is then capable of being moved. So as minerals are weathered and broken down, portions of those at least are moved down in the profile where they can oftentimes be redeposited again, either in their original form or in a new mineral form. This process of translocation or movement in the soil profile is referred to as eluviation, EL, meaning it's being moved out of an area, and then it will be redeposited in a subsequent area lower in the profile, and that is referred to as illuviation, spelled with an I, IL. An example of this might be if we had a appreciable amount of free lime, calcium carbonate in the soil. Lime is relatively soluble in the soil water. So what often happens is that lime will be solubilized in the surface soil, moved down to some depth in the profile, and then redeposited at that depth. And lime, of course, imparts this white, chalkish coloration to the soil profile. And in some profiles, especially those that have not undergone extensive weathering, we will see this deposition layer. So we would use terms like the topsoil lime has been eluviated or moved out of that section of the profile, and illuviated, IL, or moved into the lower part of the profile where we see this deposition in a very high concentrated layer. And we're just using lime as an example there. There could be other types of materials, even clay mineral particles that are moved down and redeposited at greater depths in the soil. So that is the process of translocation, and it is a very important process in the soil forming it is a very important process in soil formation. Another thing that will typically occur as soils develop or form is the process of structure formation. Structure formation is implying that we no longer have unconsolidated masses of particles, but that these particles begin to aggregate or fit together into certain types of aggregates or PEDs and form a pattern of aggregate formation in that profile. Now this is caused not only due to the accumulation of lime, which can act as a cementing agent, but also due to clay, as an example in the soil profile. Clay particles have a high specific surface. As they accumulate and develop in an area, we have a tendency to see stronger structural units being formed in that particular location. Now, we're not going to talk too much about soil structure just yet in this class, because the next unit in the class deals with the physical properties of the soil. And soil structure is indeed a physical soil property. So in the next unit we will be covering soil structure, and we'll talk much more depth about the actual processes involved in structure formation at that point in time. So for now I just want you to know basically that soil structure and structure formation is a soil forming process that occurs over time as soils develop.